Good afternoon. My name is Philip Janz. I have been recording, producing, arranging, singing, playing drums, doing all kinds of stuff in 96, or actually it was 95. It was kind of my first professional kind of job. Then things just kind of developed from there. I started actually doing a lot of work with a good friend of mine, Brian Dirksen, and we've been actually doing work together since 95. Speaking of, I just thought, man, it would be kind of a cool idea to extrapolate some of these productions that I've done. You know, people hear the final product, but, what are some of the pieces that you are putting together to make this final product? Sometimes, as like a painter, you'll see a particular color, but you won't realize, well, there's probably 4 colors in there that have been kind of mixed together. So this song is called 215. It deals with the 215 unmarked graves that were found. Brian, as he does when he processes things, he tends to write. So this is that. So he came into the studio. He wanted to record this, and this would have been in June of last year. This right here is what he came in to do. We kind of established a tempo. He quickly just played his acoustic guitar, just plugged the DI straight into the computer, and just a simple Beta 58. And this is what we got here.
215.
We repeat it.
215.
There's his guitar.
How many more missing? Indigenous.
And then in the chorus.
Why did it take so long?
So here's what I do then, is I just think about the mood, what are we going to put on the canvas that might help to convey something with sound. I'm using Logic here for my pre-production kind of programming arrangement part. I've been working with Logic actually since 1988, when it was first called Super Track by a team of people. I think back then it was probably just a guy named Gerhard Lingling, a German, and Super Track was on my Commodore 64, and then eventually they moved to Atari, and it was called Notator. eMagic was the name of the company. I'm going to just unhide some of the tracks. I wanted to start with the sound that set a mood. So I found a sound here that actually doesn't sound very flattering when you first hear it. It's from Omnisphere. It's a Juno 60 kind of sawtooth wave. Oftentimes what you can do is you take these very basic sounds that haven't been fully developed and take some effects. When I turn this on, it's called the crystallizer, and basically takes the sound and it slices it up into little fragments. And then I added a plugin from Baby Audio called Spaced Out. Fantastic modulation, reverb, and suddenly it's just transformed into this stunning. So then I was thinking, the beginning of the song, I start like this. It kind of sets the stage for something to come. And then Brian's melody, how many more missing? That's the piano you'll hear here. Right, that Juno 60 tone that you're hearing there with all that reverb just kind of adds some mystique and loneliness to it. Then what I did is I added another sound, Sacred Shrine. This here just simply does that. So what happens is, as this backwards neo soul does the little solo thing and it tapers off, this other sound comes in and takes over. You see that? And then the piano. Dun, 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 dun. Right? And then I just thought, okay, another sound that's ominous about what happened or what's missing what's coming. So I found a sound called Despot Motors, I guess. I don't know. Coming up with names is half the battle for programmers. My goodness. So this is doing this. I mean, it's just got this low kind of, how's that's going to fit into anything? But let's put it in context. Let's go back here, and we're going to hear this. And the low. Oh my, So it's lonely and it's longing, but there's this vocal.
250.
And I was just imagining that this would be a group of people all singing it together.
Indigenous children who can't come.
Okay, so Brian's just singing it on his own right now. So then I had this idea. You know what we need? We need this just such a contrast from this very melancholic, very kind of you're looking over the water, it's dark at night, and suddenly it's like earthy and drums and just gritty. So what I do is I get onto my drums over there in the other room. I just imagine what these drums will do. So there's this contrast here, you'll see. And then suddenly,
250.
it's this big kind of tom.
How many more missing?
And then on the end of that low tom, it was like, I need some sort of synth that just kind of makes that low tom just rumble. So here's a thing called brain ball. And if you listen to this sound, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it just rumbles, and it has this wide kind of sawtooth sound on the end. Once again, Omnisphere. Thank you, Eric Persing and team. So what'll happen here then is you'll hear the tom roll.
250.
Right? Wow. So on the end, it just goes like this.
How many more missing?
Okay. Okay. We need some sort of gritty bass guitar. So I'll just show you here once. And what I do is I put it through a distortion plugin. It's a Logic one. Really gritty, really gritty. I mean, listen to that. It's like this pick, and it's just, so with the drums like this. How many moments? Right? There are other sounds I put in there. For instance, this drifting keys. It's called drifting pianos. Right? So he's got all this warble, and then I added a Pan-Man plugin to basically kind of, it's moving between left and right channel. There's this kind of movement, right? This is highly condensed, kind of quick look at what I ended up doing. This takes me hours and hours of just kind of going back and forth, trying this, trying that. That doesn't work. Going into the solo here.
Stay unconfessed.
And I just imagined a solo here. But it was something about on that downbeat.
Stay unconfessed.
It just needed this kind of like huge hit, some sounds to just kind of send it into the stratosphere. Okay, so I tried a bunch of different things. One was an orchestral hit. Big joke. I haven't used something like this in so long. I mean, listen to that. That is from an old CD-ROM from many, many moons ago called Digital Boy. It's probably 96 where that. So I used that. No one will even realize that it's in there. And then some sort of long tail of something. So here's another sound called Energize. BX Oberheim, made by Plugin Alliance, right there. If I play it, it's just got this wild. Now the thing was every time I hit this note, the same one, the tone changes. So I wanted to keep it consistent. So in this case, I ended up recording it as an audio file when I implemented this. So we put this together.
Stay unconfessed.
Right? It's just this huge whoosh. Of course, when it comes to mix time, it'll all be put in its place. And some of this stuff I may or may not use. Then in the bridge, I imagined a heavy amount of acoustic guitars here. Okay. Quickly move to vocals. I also then work out like vocal arrangements that I sing, and I'll imagine, for many tunes that I've done, okay, a child will sing this, or children will sing this, or a choir will sing this, or such and such an artist will sing this. But I'm oftentimes singing these and prepping these prior. So I was imagining a low set of Bee Gees down beneath that would sing along this track. I'm going to just play it for you.
215.
Right? 215. Da, da, da. How many more minutes? It's just kind of like a drone. It's just it's a drone. It's
215. How many more missing?
Right?
Indigenous children who won't come home.
Right? And then harmony. I'm imagining like a tenor, but either a female or male can sing this right here.
Why did it take so long? Revealing this ancient wrong when mothers cried through
Unison,
countless
and then back to harmony again.
Alone. The church and the government.
Right?
Complicit in
So then the idea was, in talking with Brian too, that we would invite people who would want to put their voice to this. There were at least 10 soloists. Then when we get here,
subjugate, assimilate, eradicate the
right? So this is about 2 days, at least 2 to 3 days of just programming work. And then once I'm done here, then I move things, export all this stuff, and I move into Pro Tools, which we're going to do right now. This, of course, is the full session. When I first open the Pro Tools session, it doesn't look like this. So you will see here these keyboards. So there's that original. Right? Those are the sounds that we recognized from Logic Session. They are now been exported as audio files, you'll see here. I'm going to be replacing those drums that I did with the real McCoy. So I've got here like 13 channels of drum information, 3 kick mics and snare and overhead and room. And then I had a bass player play the track that I had programmed, but then also had the bass player play their own version of it as well. Matt Weeks from the UK, fabulous player and a producer, musician, highly talented guy. So here's the bass that replaced my programmed bass. And I put a lot of grit on that, as you can hear. Right? It's almost a little bit like if you remember a band called Muse, a lot of that kind of gritty stuff on the bass guitar. So because I created that melody with the bass. Oh, yeah. Isn't that great? So when I put it all together...
215. How many more missing? Indigenous
children. Yeah, and you see that low tom roll with that low synth that just kind of takes over there. Here are all the singers kind of singing that together.
215.
There you go.
Indigenous children who can't come home.
So So you'll see there at the beginning of this, we have a young person singing that as a child to represent these children. So that was Sammy Thiessen, fabulous voice. Thank you, Sammy.
215.
The boys being featured.
215.
Sitting on top of the mix there.
Indigenous children stolen.
Whoa. And then as this song progresses, you've got these different sections here.
Why did it take so long revealing this ancient?
Okay, and the solo, guitar solo with this big splash. Remember that program thing that I programmed in there?
Stay unconfessed.
And listen to the effect that I have on the guitar there. I mean, just these never-ending kind of effects. Spaced Out is just such a fabulous plugin. I've been really enjoying it, made by Baby Audio. In the bridge, changed the vibe completely, and I'm just going with acoustic guitars here, more or less. Huge. We've got a high-strung guitar, an Olsen, we've got a spruce Olsen, we've got a mandola, we've got a banjo. Okay, here we have all the different tracks for the guitars. Brian's acoustic guitar, then we add the high-strung guitar, Taylor, the spruce, and then the mandola, and then the banjo. So that, yeah, you have all these layers, and when you add them together, you're just kind of fitting little sonic pockets. Oh, one thing at the beginning, I remember when I was close to being done, and I think it may have been Brenda. She was like, oh, maybe like a bird call or something. And I said, oh yeah, maybe a loon. And it's a call, it's a longing. And here's the loon sound. Right there, with the crickets in the background. And then it just does it again. Okay, and then what I did is I added like 3 different reverbs. And then I also added the black hole from Eventide, and then a little bit of the Spaced Out. And I placed that in context with this kind of ethereal thing at the beginning. You're going to hear this call. You hear the crickets? Yeah. So, yeah, that went over well. Again, it's just taking the time to figure out where do I place it? How do I tell the story? Oh, I had Teresa do something here as well. Another BG right here. Right. Just some shots. So this is a chorus, and this time...
Take so long revealing this ancient wrong.
So just highlighting certain things like that, just kind of brings certain parts out vocally.
Government complicit in violence. How could
Yeah, and here are the drums. I played the drums on this track. Nice. And there's a whole process of how the drums get to sound like that. I'm not going to get into that because that in itself will be 2 hours or more. You see here the never-ending plugins that I have. Anyways, I hope this was somewhat interesting, fun to watch, informative. If you like this, maybe you can subscribe or you can make a comment like, that's cool. I'd love to see another one. Hope you guys are well and wish you all the best. Thank you very much.